name of this podcast is A Little Faith. Tonight I am talking to Helen Roberts. Helen just completed our first ever Faith Talks presentation at Montclair State University. We're here in New Jersey. We're at your house. Hello, Helen.
Hello.
How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you.
Good.
How are you?
I'm good. Yeah,
It's nice for you to be in my house.
Yeah, this is a treat. We haven't known each other for that long, but I feel very close. You're a new friend of mine.
Thanks. Me too.
Who would you say you are? Like, tell people about you. So identify. You're a mother of two.
Yeah, so I'm married to Johnny. I'm a mother of two. I've got a 5-year-old, and now 6-year-old actually.
That's
His
right,
birthday today. 6-year-old and a 3-year-old. I come from London, where I was born, and I've worked in advertising, and I've been a teacher. I'm now in New Jersey, exploring life here as a family, and my faith and church, and being in America compared to being in England.
Right, cool. And you just did your Faith Talk, and the point of this is we're going to talk about your preparation for that presentation, what that was like, and kind of what it has taught you or brought you through. Because it was a big project that we kind of foisted onto you. You know, what was it, 6 weeks ago, I think, or something like that. Just a ridiculously short amount of time. And in that meantime, you moved house as well.
Yes, I moved house three weeks ago.
Yeah.
Which was our 11th move in 2 years.
Wow. So I guess that makes it a little less intimidating, but
yeah.
And you and your talk was about belonging, and you kind of go into this your own background. It's very personal testimony, which was very powerful. And I guess we'll assume for anyone to listen to this, they probably, this definitely will have been released after the talk has been online.
Okay.
So if someone is listening to this now and you haven't, you should go onto YouTube and find the Faith Talk series and listen to Helen's, what we call Belonging. So we can talk about this now, assuming people have seen it. What was the talk about for you?
It was about the idea of coming home and that instinctive desire to be at home and to feel that closeness, which I think everyone feels. But in our faith journey as believers, we believe our home is part of our church life. We believe our home is with God and with Jesus. And I wanted to connect that idea. I guess maybe, 6 years ago, I heard this talk by a Christian speaker who was talking about 9/11 and how everyone called home. When they saw the planes crashing into the Twin Towers, they picked up their phone, they called home, or they called a member of their family saying, "Where are you?
Yeah.
Come home," or "I want to come home."
Right.
People started going home, even if they weren't thinking of going home. It's that desire to go back to safety and security and that place where you feel you can be yourself.
You had a line you repeated. It was one of the slides that it's part of your faith journey. Belonging is part of your faith journey.
Yeah, the desire to belong
is
part of the faith journey.
Right. That reminded me of that verse, the eternity set in our hearts. There's kind of an emptiness feeling that I believe everyone has, right? And I think we use it's in our faith journey to try and fill that. And I think it is my personal belief that is how it is filled. It's filled through a faith in God and through the coming fulfillment of His plan, right? That there is something bigger, essentially, you know. But you're kind of speaking a little more than that, because you're talking about, but it's that belonging, it's that community and fellowship. You talked about fellowship as well, right? So different than fulfillment.
Yeah, I wanted to connect with people who are struggling to belong, people who are feeling lost, people who are feeling out of place, people who are feeling frustrated for whatever reason, and to connect with them about their feelings, about their experiences, and to find ways for them to feel like they can belong, that they can participate, that they do have a role and a purpose. And for those that feel that they are more present and that they want to connect more with people, that, you know, we all have a responsibility to help people to belong and to care for people and to really make sure that everyone's skills and talents are used in our community and in our churches. Right.
You talked about, you had your introduction is about kind of your actual physical family, and you were adopted into a family, and that led to kind of your searching for a belonging, and it has me thinking that is the ideal church, right? We in our Christadelphian culture refer to each other as brother and sister, but that can be a title too often. I think it is really powerful when you really extend that idea of family to how you actually treat your family. You know what I mean? There's a difference. There's a difference. Like I have a brother, and Jess has a brother, and I extend myself easily for my actual family.
Yeah,
right?
For your blood family.
But then my spiritual family, it's so easy to and it comes probably from the disconnectedness you're talking about, right? To feel disconnected or disenfranchised in some way, and not fully extend myself, which is love, right? Is what we're talking about, loving each other.
Yeah, and finding commonality and taking time to listen to people and to share with each other and to build those relationships and to not see those differences as threats.
Right.
And to see them as opportunities.
Oh,
and it's interesting living here in New Jersey. Johnny and I and our family, we don't have any family here in America.
Right.
And we even when we lived in London, we didn't have any family who lived in London.
Right.
And so our church was a family. You know, I talk about how our home is an extension of our church too. I think as a young mother, I've struggled with being at home more compared to before I became a mother.
Right.
And therefore in my church life, I've had to adapt to invite people into my home to make that make church and spirituality happen more in my home when I can't be at church for whatever reason because I have young children.
Right.
And but even before that, I was definitely aware. Like I love cooking. I love getting people around a table. I mean, I talked about food and gatherings in my faith talk, and I'm a big believer in what happens at the table and the theme of the table.
Absolutely, yeah.
Round a dinner table with family, with friends, with taking bread and wine. And then, of course, bread and wine is so important to us as Christians.
What was your first kind of like reaction in your own kind of story or timeline, in your own narrative? You didn't pick this topic right away. You gave options to Paul, right? And he came back with this. So that's what I want to talk about. So the idea of this concept, this theme in your life, now it's come and it has to be distilled into a talk. What did that mean for that theme? You know what I'm saying?
It was interesting because even though I sent 5 topics to Paul, I felt like some of the topics were definitely interlinked once he started to question my ideas. So belonging was one of them, but adoption was a separate topic. And then that obviously became part of my story at the beginning of my faith talk. And I'm also very interested in millennials and the millennial generation, of which I think I'm still part of, like at the tail end, and their engagement with church. And so I also kind of, that was another of my topics, but that is part of the belonging.
Interesting.
My message, I feel, I mean, it is for older people too. I feel my message is for lots of people. God's message is for everyone, but I did want to reach out to younger people. In my message.
And that's some of the direct suggestions you give to people in that talk, is that you're saying that was the market that you're looking for.
Yeah. And some of those people are very engaged, and some of those people are crying out for attention, and they want more involvement and more engagement, and I feel they want church to be more relevant to them, and we have an obligation to make that happen.
Yeah. How did it change your own thinking on this concept, like having to collect your thoughts?
It was very interesting because Paul kind of came back and he questioned some of my opinions, and it was like a Sunday afternoon or evening, which I replied to this email, and I literally just sat down and just started typing away my responses to him, and a lot of that very raw, emotive stuff was actually in the talk tonight. That was the root of it. Because he was asking questions about what does it mean to come to church, and about, things about identity, which I explored. And and that came out very naturally somehow, just something in me, I started writing, and that surprised me. I mean, of course it was, I lots of these things I've been thinking about for a good couple of years, but then it was suddenly there on the page.
Yeah, wow.
And that was really interesting and exciting. And I mean, I love to write, but I don't write enough. And
Right.
it was really nice to write again and to really feel like...
And for it to come easy. That's
for
a blessing,
to be using my voice and my
Right.
talents. And that's kind of what my talk is about too. It's like my faith talk is about your talents, like,
Right.
and pulling talents out of other people too.
Yeah.
Because everyone has something to give.
Yeah. Did it matter? You said that you replied to the email on a Sunday. Had that Sunday affected your feelings, or had it?
Actually, no, it's interesting. I think maybe I had received that email on the Saturday and I just wanted to think about it.
And you thought about it through church.
Yeah, subconsciously.
Yeah.
Came home from church and then...
Had an answer, yeah.
And then had an answer.
What's the biggest thing that you've learned, or I guess, or are learning through these last 6 weeks, like through preparation and then delivery of this?
That it does make me very vulnerable. Like, it's very personal, but at the same time, it's very invigorating too. Mm-hmm. And considering I haven't been in New Jersey very long,
Right.
like, and in my New Jersey church that long, like less than 2 years, it's been, I guess it's been a little bit of a revelation that I have found belonging.
Right.
And that was really interesting. Like, after our first take recording tonight, like, someone turned to me and said, you know, we really love you and we want you to belong
right.
here.
I did actually hear that, yeah.
And I was never even questioning that I didn't belong here, because I do actually feel that I belong. So I guess also the 6 weeks is that I've moved house 3 weeks ago, but we've had quite a journey to get to New Jersey. So the whole idea of belonging and home is very relevant to me, even on in the last 2 years in my life, let alone my spiritual journey. So it's been very settling in a way. Like, it has been a bit of a revelation.
Yeah. It is like a statement that because that's what I'm kind of feeling, is that this did have a feeling of a statement of, I've been through this journey of belonging and I'm finding belonging now.
Yes.
Right. You never said that tonight, but it was like, but this is, and we are in a good place for us. You know, it's not like this is the best place in the world for other people or whatever, but I'm just like, that was the interesting thing. And then you've gone through this move and now you're in this new home, and this is a, you know, bigger, more established place than you guys were before. You know, there's a lot kind of, I think it's interesting. And that's what makes your story so powerful too, is you're telling something that's a very true testament of kind of where you're at now. Was there anything else that surprised you about the preparation or pulling it together or actually presenting tonight? Or
it surprised me that I had stage fright, but because I thought I kind of rehearsed a lot, and then I got up there and the lights were bright and I couldn't remember everything, and I felt like a little overwhelmed.
Yeah.
But I really enjoyed the experience and engaging with the audience, and I think despite this being on YouTube, this has now given me another opportunity to connect with my church in New Jersey, with and my community in New Jersey, my community around here in South Orange where I live,
right.
and to put some of those things that I talked about into practice,
right.
Because some of those things were part of my life in London, in England, and there's an element where Johnny and I have tried to replicate some of that here, but we're still doing that and we're still exploring that, and that's been really, I guess that's been interesting with and being able to talk to people saying, I'm doing this, I'm actually doing a faith talk, and it's going to be a bit like a TED talk, and what do you think? And I think it's opened up lots of opportunities to share and relate and to connect.
Yeah, good. Well, that is the goal of these. And thank you again for being so honest. And because that's, I think, you talked, I'm backing up a little bit, but you felt vulnerable, but that felt good.
Yeah.
Well, that to me is telling the truth.
Yeah.
You know, to a family member especially too. Like that is the truth can be vulnerable. You know,
it's the only way we can grow.
Yeah. But it feels good, right? You're like, well, okay, this is something I've needed to say. You know,
it feels cathartic.
Right. So that's really cool.
Yeah, share my adoption story, my life story, and to connect that with my faith really, and how that all links together.
This is in your own story, a chapter marker, you know, in a way, kind of like, you know, this is. Yeah. And then after searching, you know, and then I actually talked about it too in a faith talk. So, yeah, it's neat how that works, how God works that way. Well, thank you again.
It's a pleasure.
It's fun recording this because this is very much your, like, we have just walked in the door and sat down from the school, and so again, this is kind of an addition to the video on YouTube. So hopefully, if anyone listening hasn't watched it, please go find it on YouTube and share it with your friends. I know it is something that we want to share. But yeah, thank you, Helen. So
thank you very much, Levi.
Yep.